Welcome to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton, and welcome to a scout report show where we're going to be looking into what Armando Broja can potentially offer to Everton. Obviously, he's a new signing from deadline day in August, but he's yet to play. He's still recovering from injury. So, as Everton fans, we're still yet to see anything of him and what he can bring to our attack. So, we're going to get a bit of insight into how Armando Broja could help Everton out this season when he returned from his injury. I'm joined by Redian, and he's joins us from the Albanian Football account. Um, and we'll obviously put the link to Redian's account in the description below this video as well. So a very warm welcome to the show, Redian. And well, how are you doing?
Well, thank you very much for inviting me on. I think it's a big pleasure to be here because it's obviously a huge account that you've managed to establish there with the Toffee news feed. And yeah, I don't think of anything that's better than to speak about Armando Broja. He's at least my favorite player. So yeah.
Yeah. So obviously he's a major part of the Albanian national team, of course, and he's been around in the Premier League as well. So I think Everton fans do know a slight bit about Armando Broja, but maybe not enough about what he could bring to Everton because obviously we're struggling side. We don't do very well at the moment. We
Mm.
don't play the
Yeah,
best football, but
yeah, that was like what I was thinking too, because when I was on Twitter and Armando Broja got announced that he was going to go to Everton, quite a lot of Everton fans knew of the name and they knew a bit about what type of player he is because, of course, he's been around for quite some time. He's been at Fulham, Chelsea, and Southampton, so they would have seen him at different places. But not enough people knew like the in-depth capabilities of this player, and that's why I started, making some analysis and some threads about who is Armando Broja.
it's that was obviously your immediate impression is that perhaps was Everton the right move for Armando Broja on deadline day. Jordan was about other options.
Yeah, like it was quite a crazy transfer window when I was trying to, cover everything regarding Albanian players. The rest of the players were quite easy to cover, but Armando Broja was doing all sorts of stuff because all of a sudden he was going to Ipswich. Everything was done. Even the big guy Fabrizio Romano saying, "Here we go," and it's done deal. But then there was a problem with the medical, and then the deal was off, and then it was on, and we didn't hear Everton's name until the end of the window, where they put in a loan bid for him, and then you had a deal sheet, and then finally he got announced. So there were loads of different options on the table for him, which also speaks volumes about the capabilities and the quality he has as a player. But in the end, he ended up in Everton, and to be completely honest with you, and I'm genuinely saying this sincerely, I'm very happy because I think it's a very good club for him to be at.
Certainly, I think you've obviously seen our attack so far this season's been struggling. Of course, Armando Broja has been injured since we signed him on loan, and Chelsea have agreed to pay his wages until he's fit enough to play. But how would you how would you think Armando Broja would be feeling sitting on the sidelines watching our attack struggle? Because our other attackers have been having very poor seasons. Obviously, we've been struggling for goals. And how do you think? What do you think's going through Armando Broja's head?
Yeah, I mean, the boring answer is, of course, he's just thinking about recovering and getting back to his best self. But I know Broja from the past because I've been following him for like 5 years, and I don't want to say I know exactly how he thinks, but I know some things about his state of mind. And when he's on the sideline, the only thing he thinks about is just getting on that field and impressing and doing what he does best, which is perform. So right now, I see him very motivated in training. I see him working hard, and I just think that the only thing that he's thinking about is getting on that field and showing the toughies what he's all about.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure the Everton fans are feeling the very same. We can't wait to see him because, quite frankly, we don't think that our strikers are really struggling and we need some help. So,
Yeah.
um, definitely, Armando Broja could certainly offer something, that's for sure. What would you say is Armando Broja's strengths? What's his best strength?
His absolute best strength for me is his pace and power. It's a term that is used quite often in modern football, I feel, because you want these type of players that are quick, are strong, are tall, a physical specimen, and he definitely is that. He's a guy who is almost 2 meters, which is 6'4", I think, in feet, and then he's lightning quick. I would even go as far as saying he is maybe not the fastest, but like top five fastest players in the world. I genuinely mean that. And also very powerful in the duels and strong. So that's definitely his best attribute. Of course, when you play football, it's not just about the physical attributes, also the technicals. And he's also very good technically. Like his dribbling is good, first touch, technique, and my personal like favorite thing about him is his shooting and ball striking. He can really strike a ball when he gets the chance to it.
Yeah, that's something we're certainly missing with our current strikers. What would you say his weaknesses are?
His weaknesses, of course, if he didn't have any weaknesses, like he would go for 200 million and every club would be after him. So of course he has some. I would say his weaknesses are maybe his link-up play isn't actually the best, especially like in tight spaces. And that's also why he didn't really do that much at Chelsea because they always dominate opponents and they have to play in these tight spaces against low blocks, and it didn't really benefit him too much. And also, I would say his positioning in and around the box is not actually the best for a number nine. If I have to be really critical of him, because you always talk about these guys who get a lot of chances but miss them. But at least they're good at getting chances. I don't think Broja gets too many chances in a game, and that's obviously a weakness from his side. He's good at finishing them, but he needs more because you can't just always score your chances.
Is like his movements off the ball leaves a bit to be desired.
Yeah, and, like his effort is there. Like he will press, and he's very good at pressing. It's not a problem like that. But I just think like he needs to become a bit smarter in his movement of the ball. Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, to be quite honest, I don't think that'll make him struggle too much in terms of getting into the Everton team because our strikers at the moment are pretty similar in that respect. That they're sometimes you think that I think both technically and mentally, I think there's flaws in all of the strikers. So I don't see how it should stop him getting a chance at Everton. Um, Obviously, like I say, the strikers we have at the moment are Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Beto, are two of the big forwards, but different in styles. Um, from what you've said, it appears that Broja would definitely be a better finisher than either of those two. Well, how do you think you'll get on against that kind of competition?
I think to be honest with you, I think he'll thrive from it. I don't think footballers get the most out of themselves when they don't have any competition at all. So when you're guaranteed a starting spot, I think we also see it a bit with Calvert-Lewin.
Definitely.
Your levels tend to drop because you can just drop a bad game after a bad game and you'll still start, and that just does something for you mentally. Maybe not in your conscious, but in your subconscious. So when he has two players who are quite good, I would say Beto is quite a good player, and also the Calvert-Lewin because they've proved themselves in the past. You definitely have to prove yourself every single time you play, or else you get on the bench. So I think he has the quality to start over both of them, but he also has to prove it. We can't just put him on the field without having proven anything.
It won't take much for him to prove himself. Like I say, the current strikers we have, Calvert-Lewin and Beto, neither of them have proven themselves to be in the best of form and for the majority of this season. I think Beto and Calvert-Lewin, I think they might only have one goal each. Maybe Calvert-Lewin has two, which is nowhere near good enough for a striker. Um, so it wouldn't take much for Armando Broja to outscore them. Obviously, there's the general link-up player, like you say, as well. But in that respect, I think Armando Broja could definitely improve our strike rate. Now, Sean Dyche has said that he wants to get more crosses into the box while Beto is on the pitch, but he's more direct with Calvert-Lewin with a long ball. Which of
Hmm.
those styles would suit Broja best? Which is It's interesting he says this because Dominic Calvert-Lewin, like Beto, does thrive on crosses. So I'm not sure
Yeah.
why Sean Dyche has said that. But what would you say Broja's um, best style of play would be? Would he better getting into the penalty area to get on the ends of crosses, or would he be better trying to win knockdowns, win the long ball?
Yeah, I mean, like he's a tall guy. It maybe might even be one of his weaknesses, but he's definitely not a guy that you want to spam with high balls and long balls and crosses and hope he hits it down. He's not a target man type of nine. He can win hitters and he can score them. He's quite precise with them, but he's never definitely not the guy to just be dueling with center backs all the time. I think the long ball tactic is actually quite good for Armando Broja if you have space in behind, because that's definitely what he thrives on. The pace and the power is unlike any other player in the world, given that height and the stature that he has. So if you play a game where you're counter attacking, which I've seen Everton do quite a lot of times in the last couple of games, you can send some long balls to Armando Broja and he can create the goals out of nothing sometimes even. I'm not saying that it will be a one-man show, but that's definitely his best type of football. Running into space, exploiting the space, and creating something from deep. That's like the best way to utilize him.
Yeah, and another thing with Sean Dyche's team, like his style of players, he likes the strikers to track back and battle for the ball. Is that something that Broja can do, or is that not his style of play?
Well, we saw at the Euros when Albania were playing Italy, and I was also at the stadium, so I was really looking a lot of Broja because you can't always see it in TV. He didn't really track back all that much, and I don't know if it was something the coach had told him to stay up the field, or maybe he just didn't want to or something. I don't really know, to be honest. But I also saw him at Southampton, and I saw him at Vitesse tracking back all the time. When he played at Southampton, at least, he played in a 4-4-2. They were two strikers, and both of them always tracked back. So it's definitely something he can do. He's got the physical capabilities of it. He has the stamina, the pace, and the power and everything to do it. So I think if Sean Dice tells him you have to do this, he will do it. I don't think it's going to be a problem at all.
Yeah, you've mentioned there obviously he played in a 4-4-2. Do you think obviously you spoke about the long balls up to Calvert-Lewin? Do you think he could play with Calvert-Lewin and in a two? Because that's not
Hmm.
something that Everton have tried at all this season. But could that be a successful setup for Everton if Sean Dyche went with it?
Yeah, I mean that's also one of the things I was thinking about because when I was looking at this Broja to Everton move, I was thinking about how he's gonna fit in. And first of all, I was thinking, okay, they play quite counter-attacking. They're not a possession-heavy side, and I think that's gonna fit him if they want to play 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1 or what at it and that is. But he's also, as you mentioned, he's good at playing with another guy next to him who can win the long balls, win the headers down and like play off him, if you wanna call it that, which he did at Southampton, and which Sean Dyche actually is very good at setting up because that's how he played at Burnley, right? Four four
That's it.
two
That's
all
what
time.
I was thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So definitely, I always thought about it doesn't have to be Broja or Calvert-Lewin. It can be both, and it can be really successful if it's done right.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if he can make that work because it's not something he's tried at Everton yet, and I think a lot of Everton fans would like to see it, but remains to be seen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think obviously, bro, yeah, you mentioned he had a successful loan at Southampton, but last season he was out on loan at Fulham for half a season, but it didn't end up being successful. He didn't get many minutes. What do you think went wrong for Broja while he was at Fulham?
I think what went wrong was basically everything, and what went right was nothing. It was a complete disaster, and it wasn't just the Fulham move in itself, but it was also everything that led up to it. So he returned from injury with Chelsea, and then he had 1 or 2 months at Chelsea, and they didn't show any, patience with him. You need to show patience with a guy who's been out for 1 year and is 21 years old and just came back. You need to show a little bit of patience and a little bit of belief in him. But they chucked him straight in. He scored a goal against Fulham, even at Craven Cottage, even. And then he like relapsed in his knee for 2 or 3 weeks. He came back, and then you can clearly see he was quite afraid to give a 100% because he didn't trust his body yet. And that's completely normal because when you have a knee injury of that caliber, of course you're gonna be a bit scared to sprint around the field and give her everything. So you had to adapt to that. Chelsea didn't want to wait for him to adapt, and then they wanted to sell him in January. They put his price as 50 million pounds. Nobody came in, obviously, because they didn't have any guarantee he was going to be the same player. Then they lowered it to 30 million, 25 million, 20 million, but there weren't really any offers, also because it was January, of course. And then it was another deadline day deal sheet move to Fulham, who simply just wanted a bit more cover at the striker positions because Raul Jimenez was injured. So I don't think they signed him to, really develop him or do anything for him. They signed him for their own benefits of just having another guy, which is completely fair, but it just didn't work out for Broja because then he went there and Rodrigo Muniz, who had a very bad season with Fulham, all of a sudden started scoring goals. And then, of course, they were gonna keep playing with Moniz, who is their player on the contract, and they weren't gonna use Broja a lot. So that's what went completely wrong for him there.
There's nothing he particularly didn't do right while he was at Fulham. It was just bad luck.
Yeah, I mean, I think most of it was down to bad luck, but also when he came on, it's not like he was lighting the world on fire. I watched the games; it was like 20 minutes cameos off the bench here and there. He didn't get a start, and of course, it's tough for a striker to just get on the field and in 20 minutes change the game. But I also didn't really feel like he performed to the level which I know he can perform at. So I think his confidence was at an all-time low, and that also impacted him on the pitch 100%. So no, and his level wasn't that great, but it was also bad luck.
But obviously, he then went to the European Championships and did well for you guys. You mentioned the Italy game, and he did offer a lot at the Euros. And Albania had an impressive campaign, even if they didn't progress.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was quite tricky to really pinpoint what happened there because he was obviously at Fulham, and whilst he was still at Fulham, we played a friendly against Sweden in Sweden in March. And I was there for the game, and I was only there to watch Broja because, of course, he's our biggest man, and I wanted to see what he can actually do. When he played for Albania that game against Sweden, I saw the right Broja, if you want to say it, sprinting around the field, dribbling, shooting, holding off players, and doing really well. And then he went back to Fulham and went back to that low confidence, bad player that we really don't want to see. Then he went to the Euros and he was again very good. I know we didn't progress and he didn't score, he didn't actually assist, but his overall game was very good, both against Italy, but especially against Spain, where he gets subbed on for 30 minutes and changes the game, almost gets us a result. So yeah, I think it was most of a confidence thing that whole season.
Could also be the playing style, because I think, obviously, as Everton fans, we know we've been managed by Marco Silva before, who was manager of Fulham, and it's a very possession-heavy setup which he uses. You said that perhaps Armando Broja is better suited to um, running the lines, not playing in tight spaces. Could that have also stopped him from playing at his best at Fulham?
Yeah, yeah, I think that's a very good point to make because they use Jimenez, who is very good at linking up with his teammates and dropping deep, and he almost acts like a false nine. He's always involved with the play, and that isn't really Broja, as we have already found out. But when they had Muniz, they played a bit of different football where Muniz only touched the ball when he had to put it in the net. And that's also not really Armando Broja because he wants to be involved in some sort of way, but not the, small link up in tight spaces. He's better at running in space and linking up with one or two players on the wing, maybe, but not, yeah, like both the styles of play that Fulham played while he was there, they weren't really suited to him.
So, with that in mind, you think he'd be better suited to the way Everton play than perhaps the way Fulham play, and that could maybe see him have a better chance of succeeding here.
Yeah, yeah, and that's also why I was so happy when I saw that Everton were in for him, because I really think he fits the style of play at Everton so well. I've seen the games the last 2 months because I really wanted to know exactly how Everton played. I've always watched a game or two a season, but now I'm of course watching them all, and I just see sometimes where I think if Armando Broja was on the field here, he would really thrive and do something. The latest example is against the West Ham right before the international break. I just saw West Ham leaving so much space in behind, and I was just thinking that's exactly where you need a Broja to utilize that space.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what we are missing because he's like you say, he can stretch the field, and we don't do that very well at the moment. And it's something that we should be aiming to do well because we want to play on the counter attack. So if he offers that, then that could be a very beneficial for Everton.
Mm.
Um, so with that in mind, we'll start wrapping up. But do you think that the way Everton play will suit him? Will it spell that Everton be a success?
Yeah, I think like not to be overly optimistic. Of course, things can go wrong, things can go right. I think the chances are that it's going to be right. Also because this is, I know it was a deal sheet move, it was a deadline day and last second move, but Everton and Kevin Thelwell have been after this guy for many years. Like Everton put in bids for him when he was at Southampton. They put in bids for him when he was coming up at Chelsea. They have monitored him for many years and know his capabilities and know what he brings to the field. And that's why I think Everton were in for him until the last second because they still believe in the guy. And when you put so much belief in a young player like him, he's also gonna love it and he's gonna show what he can do. So, in my opinion, I think it's gonna be a really, really big success, but we will have to see.
With that in mind, you say like if we've been tracking him for a while and we do back Armando Broja to succeed at Everton, we've obviously got an option to buy Broja in the loan deal. We've got a clause to buy him for £30 million. Do you think that's a good fee for Armando Broja? Obviously, he hasn't found his best form in the Premier League yet, but do you think the best is yet to come? And is 30 million a good deal if we were to buy him on a permanent basis?
Yeah, I think the best is, as you say, indeed yet to come. He hasn't really showed exactly what he can do, and at least not consistently week in, week out. I think in a market where a lot of players, and especially strikers, go for 70, 80, 90 million, we see Rasmus Højlund at Manchester United getting sold for 80 million just for scoring 10 goals. Then I don't think 30 million is too much of a fee to ask for a guy like Broja. Of course, if he doesn't score the whole season, it's too much. I predicted him to at least, if he gets a good run of games, to at least score like six, seven, eight Premier League goals. I think if he can manage that, then you buy him for 30 million. You're not just buying him for the season he has this year, but also for the potential. So I think that's quite a good fee.
I think I'd certainly have to agree with that. Obviously, at the moment, Everton don't have a lot of money, but there's a potential takeover that could happen before next summer when we have to decide to make the deal permanent or not. So we might have more money to spend, so we could be able to afford this more easily next summer.
Mm.
But like you say, we're talking about potential. He's still only 23.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's not long term 23, I don't think. So he's,
No, no.
he's still got his best years ahead of him. It's looking to say, barring unless he has a very poor season with us, there's a good chance that we could make this deal permanent.
Yeah, I think there's a very good chance that you make it permanent, and also we have to remember just because the fee is 30 million at the moment, it doesn't mean that it cannot be renegotiated. Think if at the end of the season Everton goes to Chelsea and say, okay, we can only offer 20, 25, Chelsea might be willing to offload him for that price too. So I think if everything goes as I projected at least, I think we're gonna see Everton and Broja continue at Bramley Moore together too.
That'd be fantastic. we're obviously hoping for a successful striker. We haven't had much of it this season, so we hope Armando Broja will be the man to lift our season, really. We'll
Hmm.
wrap up here anyway. Have you got any final thoughts on Broja before we end the show?
I think I've been around it like completely, to be honest. I'm just hoping he scores quickly, so it doesn't take too much time. And I hope you buy him because I will 100% visit Goodison Park, but I also want a reason to visit Bramley more. So let's hope it's a success.
Yeah, well, hopefully we'll see you very soon. Have you got any games planned to come to Goodison Park in the next few months? Or
Yeah, I think it's 100% gonna be in spring season. It might just be something like February, but spring is a guarantee.
basically when Broja's back fit and playing?
Exactly.
Yeah, no problem. But we can't wait to welcome you here, of course, and we can't wait to welcome you at Bramley Moore Stadium next season. So definitely
Well,
get yourself over to England and come and watch us. And yeah, you're always welcome. Um,
I will love it. I will love it. And thank you very much for those words.
yeah, no, not a problem. It's been great to have you on, Redian. It's been great to get this insight, and um,
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. It's been very nice.
we're very happy to have you, and we're very happy to have Mystic Show because obviously it's been a very negative season for Everton so far. So to have
Yeah,
this kind of positivity is very much appreciated on this show.
of course.
Um, yeah, so thank you so much, Redian, for joining us. Like I say, guys, thanks for tuning in. You can reach Redian at his handle on X is at ALB Football. The link to that will be in the description below this video anyway. So be sure to check it out and give him a follow. And yeah, we'll sure, like I say, we'll see Redian at Goodison or failing that the Bramley Moore next season.
We
Um,
will.
yeah, thank you so much for joining us, Redian,
Thanks
and
for having me.
and thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. Like I say, give us a comment, let us know your opinions on Armando Broja. Get the comments coming in, give this video a like, and subscribe for more content. Thank you very much for watching on the Toffee Blues. We'll see you soon.